So now let's review the marketing process. So far in the previous section, we got a big picture of marketing in terms of visualizing marketing funnel diagram, right? So now let's start with the marketing process, and we will keep in mind that these concepts, whatever we're going to review, applies to early stage startups or especially for us, part-time startups. They can be used for other any startup or any business, but they will be having a lot of budget, a lot of resources to spend. But for us, we don't have a whole lot of resources, whole lot of money. So we have to be careful in how we market it. So we have to remember to spend less, learn fast, and make adjustments and improvements and then repeat rather than spend a lot of money and then expect everything will go fine. So we have to keep that in mind. So remember lean startup principles, which are build, measure, and learn. Rather than just building and hoping everything will go fine, take it as a iterative steps, build, measure, and learn. So the main focus here is we have to focus on learning whatever marketing efforts you're going to do, how it is turning and giving results to you. So focus more on learning. Okay, marketing is not one-time activity; it's a continuous process, right? So it is not just okay. I go and advertise in Google and it will be done. No, it's you do some activity, learn from that, and then make changes, and then move on. Repeat the steps. Okay. Now, one of the first step we have to do before we spend even a single dollar on marketing is to understand who are my targeted customers. So let's say in this scenario, I'm starting a website called parttimestartups.com. Right? So who are my targeted customers? Can I say, oh, anyone in the world can come and visit my website? Well, that's the wrong answer, right? That is not a targeted customers. So I have to be little more specific. So how do I get to more specific to define my ideal customer segment? Okay, I have to understand what are the factors, variables to differentiate these customer segments. So one of the category here is demographically you can differentiate. Demographically means gender, age, marital status, and sometimes you can even depend on education also. Okay. And another category here is geographically, like country, state, city, is urban or suburban, those kind of categories too. And another kind is psychographically, which is mostly depending on lifestyle, personality, social class. Is it high class or middle class or a lower class? Whom we are targeting. Okay, so there are other categories, but we can mainly consider these three categories and then define our ideal customer. So probably if I'm targeting a jobs website rather than saying, "Oh, anyone can come here and apply for a jobs." That may not sound good. So I may have to be specifically demographic, saying that okay, it can apply to male and female, but who are older than 30 plus years and who's looking for a jobs in, let's say, IT industry. Okay, uh, so same way, geographically, do I want to target an entire world for this? Um, it doesn't help. So you have to be a little more specific who's your targeted here, which area of customers you are targeting. Same thing with lifestyle. Is it upper class or lower class too? Okay. So, okay, we identified targeted customers, but for us being early stage startup and especially we're doing a part-time startups, we cannot target initially for everyone of targeted customers and then hope they'll visit and become a paid customers. So we have to identify who are early adopters. Early adopters means take only one particular segment of those targeted customers. Okay. For example, what factors do you consider? Okay. So the criteria is what you can consider are who are reachable easily, who may be willing to try, who are in desperate need for this. So they are my early adopters because I can reach them easily. Okay, I don't have to spend too much of amount to reach them because they may be my reachable area, maybe my friends network, or maybe my local community. So you can define these early adopters. Because the advantage is you can validate the product rather than giving it to mass or everyone and then finding product has some bugs or something. So you can test the product, validate the hypothesis. Like you are assuming that okay, people wants to have A and B services for a cheaper rate, like X dollar amount. Okay, that's your hypothesis. But is it correct? How can you validate it? So if you target from these early adopters, you can learn from them and then react it. Okay, and the biggest advantage here is when you target for a specific segment which is more early adopters who are easily reachable, you are going to spend less money in marketing and then you learn and then you can spend later. So again, how do you find these early adopters? You have to identify depending on your category of website or product who are your early adopters. And then okay, so now you have this marketing funnel and then early adopters and targeted users. So another two important things you need to understand is acquisition, how much it costs to acquire a customer, okay, and what's the conversion rate. So let's get into details of these two topics here. Okay, we'll do with this in taking an example. So let's say you spent in marketing $100. Okay, so you advertise it in some channel or you use the email, sending emails to 1,000 people, whatever. Okay, you spend $100, and then that helped you to get 100 visitors to your website. Okay, that's good. Visited users are 100, and then paid customers. Out of 100, only 10 people become a paid customers, right? So now, what did we learn out of these numbers? To get one customer, you have to spend $10. That is what acquisition cost. To get a paid customer, you have to market. You have to spend $10 for that. Okay, and then to what's the conversion rate? Conversion rate is the paid customers versus how many people visited your website. Okay, so in this case, 100 people visited my website, but only 10 people purchased the product. That means my conversion rate is 10%. Now let's look at these numbers in a different perspective. Let's say I want to increase the paid customers. Okay, so to increase the paid customers, I can do I can increase my marketing amount. Okay, because if I increase my marketing amount to $1,000 as per this calculations, I will get 1,000 users. If I get 1,000 users, out of them 10% is my conversion rate, then I get 100 paid customers. That's very good, right? Right. So I don't want to spend more than $100. I'm happy with the 100 users. But how do I get more paid customers? Maybe you have to increase the conversion rate from 10% to 20%. How do you increase? Maybe you are not, you may have to make improvements on your website. Maybe you have to make more interesting content, or decrease the price of your product. So you have to take these measures to get a higher conversion rate. Okay, or you don't want to spend more money, you want to spend only $100, but for that $100 you want to get more number of visitors. Okay, so now how do you increase this number of customers visiting to your website by not increasing the amount of dollars? That means your marketing channel, is it effective? Let's say I spend $100 by putting a Google AdWords, okay, advertisement mechanism. If that is giving me only 100 users, is there any better way I can market my website by spending $100? Still can I get 1,000 users? Okay, so these are three factors you have to remember: how much you are spending, how many users are visiting your website, and then how many are becoming your paid customers. So paid customers is number you want to increase ultimately. That depending on number of visited users, how much money you are spending. Are you spending in the right marketing channel? Are the people who are coming are becoming interested in your website? So once you understand these factors, you can see where you can make improvements to get ultimately higher number of paid customers. So again, it goes to which channel is more effective. We talked about it. So now for parttimestartups.com, what is it I'm going to do? So first question I want to ask is, who are my targeted customers? Can I say, oh, anybody can come and learn about how to start a startup in their part-time? Well, that is not the right answer, right? So I can give better answer saying that, okay, anyone who want to be entrepreneur, they are my targeted customers. Well, even that is more wide. It's good target, but they're not. How can I find my early adopters? There are too many people to target initially. I cannot spend millions of dollars to target everyone who want to be entrepreneur, right? They are my ideal targeted, but I have to be a little more specific. So that's where I can come into who are my early adopters. Okay, so the more concepts can be easily applied to internet entrepreneurs. Okay, now I'm getting a little more specific. Who has some kind of technology background, or interest in technology, or leveraging the internet? They can choose this part-time startups.com products, and then they can become paid customers. So now I can get a little more specific, saying that initially I want to target to US and working in IT who are aged 30 plus years, who are having family and plus full-time jobs. Well, now at least I narrow it down to a little more specific. Can I get more specific than this? Yeah, sure, why not? Probably I'll start focusing only New York as my first targeted area. Okay, or I can say, no, I want to start targeting only my friends' network, or I'm going to publish it to my local community newspaper, and I want to try it here. Or I can take university, one specific university, and say I'm going to try only in that university region initially. So you can take early adapters to take the next step, right? So this is my way of thinking for part-timestartups.com. So in summary, so the marketing is not a single time event or activity, it's a process. And being a part-time startups, we have to focus on learning and spend less amount of dollars, and then learn fast, okay, and then make improvements and repeat the process. Okay, and now we have to once you know that, how do we measure based on the acquisition cost and conversion rates? You can learn where to improve, how to improve, and you can use Google Analytics and so on, and those kind of tools to learn the numbers, how many people are visiting, how many people are bouncing, and all those things. Sorry, all those things. Okay, all right, that's all for this session.